I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Today, we're going to review the newest release from a band called Junip, which is self-titled. And this is an album that really kind of, when you put it on, initially you have to like it. You have to just be approached by the sound and go, wow, this is just nice indie rock music. It has a good mood, good instrumentation, and then the vocals. I kind of think those are kind of familiar. What do they sound like? Oh yeah, hot shit. That's what they sound like. The vocals.
Kind of my morning jacket too.
Yeah, I got a big my morning jacket.
The vocalist Jose Gonzalez, he actually the first I had ever heard of him was not in Junip, but actually his solo work, which. He famously did a cover of the Knife's Heartbeats on Acoustic, which I actually love that cover. I think it's a great interpretation of that song. So, hearing him in more of a full band format, it's pretty cool. But I would totally agree with those comparisons. I heard a lot of those things too. I think it was a cool blend of traditional kind of acoustic folk type guitar. I even heard some Nick Drake style guitar lines in there, but mixed in with a lot of those electronic moods and beats that just kind of fill everything out.
Really eclectic percussion bass is what I noticed too, which gave it kind of a unique sound.
Yeah.
Now a lot of these tracks are a little bit longer. They're kind of like in the 3 to 5 minute range, which so you're not getting your traditional just pop format there, which is something that I initially look for when I'm getting into a band, trying to understand what they're doing, how they're approaching constructing their sound. And that was something that I definitely realized Junip was doing as they were trying to create something a bit bigger. The only thing that I noticed right off the bat was they're really not doing a whole lot with dynamics. You're seeing a lot of things in just the middle range. The vocalist doesn't, his voice being that it kind of sounds like hot chip in my morning jacket, kind of just occupies one volume range. So that kind of dictated the intensity of the whole album.
Yeah, and another thing, the only other thing that really affected dynamics that I could pick up on is just how few or how many layers are happening at the same time, because everything is presented on such the same level that it's just how many of those layers are there. If there's 2, then it's not much, and if there's 4, then it's a lot, but usually they're presented at kind of the same volume.
Sure, and along those same lines, the production was turned up pretty hardcore on this album.
It was.
And I think that the whole point of that was to give it more volume. I noticed that there was a lot of, especially on the vocals, it was like they were multi-tracked. It was just, they were turned up very loud. It was just really presented in a way that was trying to give it more dynamics, to give it more edge. But would you say that worked for you?
No, I wouldn't. Because because to me, and I don't know if it comes from the production or the mastering or whatever. I would have had to been there for the process to do it. We can just kind of refer to it in general as the production, but really the way everything is set is it's so over compressed that actually it kind of kills the dynamics.
It absolutely
does.
And
then also it gives it makes it kind of distorted. I mean, it's that overblown,
but not good distortion.
No. I mean, like where things are supposed to be sounding smooth, you hear them getting a little like to them. And it just, I listen to that and I think, why would you let that happen? It's so easy, just turn that compressor down a little bit. You don't need it to be overblowing the sound, especially for something that's supposed to sound so sweet and endearing, which I actually think in the songwriting and performance aspect, they pulled that up.
I agree.
But the production works against it.
Yep.
I think that was just putting their foot in their mouth. I think that was kind of a disappointment because it's easy to avoid. It's one of the last things you do. Just what's the overall volume you want? This was considerably louder than other albums we listened to.
Yep.
I always listen to stuff on my headphones at the exact same volume, and this felt like it was 4 notches up.
Yeah, and it really did kill the dynamics, which in turn killed the sense of authenticity that you got from the music. I mean, especially when they're doing such a good job of mixing like electronic components and the actual real instruments like acoustic guitar and some of the other percussive things that they were doing. It really took away from that authenticity and the blend there. And it kind of was a pain for me to see that happen because it's a really pretty sound. So when you kind of clog that up with this unneeded distortion that wasn't meant to be there originally when you played the instruments, it just kind of ruins the whole sound. Now another thing I want to bring up is I felt like the strength of this album obviously was in the mood, some of the compositional pieces, the sound that they created
melodies.
And everything. Those were all great. But I noticed that a lot of the weight of this album, for me anyways, the front half of the album was just clearly stronger than the back half. I really felt like, especially the last few tracks, were just kind of sagged at the end, and that really kind of hurts the album listening experience. Kind of makes me want to skip the last few tracks and go back to the beginning. Now, I have a theory as to why this is.
Okay.
Tell me if you agree.
All right.
But I have a feeling that it's because a lot of these tracks are actually quite similar in how they put them together.
I'll agree with you on that. They have a lot of similar instrumentation. Like I said, sometimes they'll remove layers and put them back in, but the vocals are presented very similarly. A lot of the melodies are kind of similar. They're constructed similarly. Even the guitar and bass riffs, I think that they're very catchy and memorable lines, but they're very simple, and they just rely on that, on locking into that groove, and so they're all kind of set up the same. You don't really get anything. I can't pick a track in here and say this one really sticks out as being different from the ones around it, because there's not really any that are like that.
And honestly, because of that, I think that's why I prefer the front half of the album, because that's when those ideas are the freshest. By the end of the album, you start to get repeat ideas, and it dilutes its own potency. So, to me, I still like this album. I still thought it was solid, but they could have done a lot more to polish it up. They could have written more expansive, at least one or two more expansive songs.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the whole album.
Right, that really just hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
And then it would have flowed a lot better. It would have been produced a lot better. It would have lended itself to a more accessible listening experience at that point. So personally, I'm not super warm on this one, but I still think it's good enough to give it in the 70s range. I'm going to go 70-30.
I'm going to go 76. I did dig it, but it could have been better.
So right in the middle of the 70s, which means that we like this album. However, there's a couple things that are bothering us about it, but we're really interested to hear what you guys thought about Junip. So leave us a comment at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. Also, please follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, because that's where we get to talk with you, and you get to tell us what albums from 2013 you want us to review. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
Good to the taste, when you slip back from a line of fire.